Okay. All right. I'm sharing to my page. Give me a second. Yes. When you're designing a life you love, things don't need to be perfect. And my life definitely is not. So, Wednesday Night Live, I will never be super dressed up with a beat face. It's not really who I am. And I just, in this new era that I'm in, I'm going to be 100% myself all the time. Okay. And we'll just see how that goes. So, last week, I kicked off designing a life you love. I want to share that this is my opinion. 100%. This is my opinion on designing a life you love. This is not backed by anything other than my life experiences. So you can take it or leave it in terms of anything that I share and kind of where it lands for you. I just want to share from the perspective of somebody who has not necessarily done things well, but is open to sharing my experiences, maybe more than some may feel comfortable doing. And honestly, it helps me feel like some of the things that I did or didn't do, it wasn't in vain. As the old gospel song says, if I can help somebody. So last week, I asked you to think about um, what it would look like to, design a life for yourself. I talked about a couple of phrases I used were, your new life will cost you your old. And he got what he wanted, or she got what she wanted and lost what she had. And those are critical things to think about when you think about designing a life that you love, because some things are going to have to change. It's not going to be the same. There's no room for new stuff if your life is full of a lot of old things. So you have to make room for the life that you're seeking to create for yourself. And I want us to start. First of all, you're going to need pen and paper. If you're really interested in taking on this assignment, you're going to need pen and paper, because we're going to do some breath work, and then you're going to write down your thoughts. Okay, I got to get this going. I mean, I don't want to look bad on the live, okay? I'm not trying to be fancy, but I don't want to look bad either. But you're going to need pen and paper um, to record some of your thoughts. Making sure my phone's not going off. All right. Um, Part of the things we're going to talk about tonight, one of the couple things we're going to talk about tonight are boundaries. And there's actually an excellent episode on my YouTube channel on boundaries that I'm going to link in these comments. So good. I I didn't know that I had issues with boundaries until I was 50. I didn't know I had a people pleasing problem until I was 50. I thought other people's opinions didn't matter to me. That's how embedded it was in me to move in a certain way that would be appealing to other people, or that would attract people to me, or make people like me or think well of me. And so it took me a long time, but absolutely cannot design a life that you love without boundaries. You absolutely cannot design a life that you love if you are a people pleaser. If you have not identified yet that you're a people pleaser, you can't design a life that you love. It's not gonna work, because you will be your own visions and acceptance of yourself is still being filtered through other people's opinions of you and what you're doing, or what you deem to be acceptable by society. And so those things have to be worked through. And I'm going to share a little bit more about boundaries, but I want us to do the breath work first. And I've really been talking, just in case anybody is listening in real time and wants to grab that paper. It could be any piece of paper. Like, I just have my notes here on this little notepad. This isn't me. This isn't going to be me teaching or anything like that. I'm just going to guide you, and then you will take notes, and it will help you develop more self-awareness around what might be standing in the way for you of the designing the life that you love. You might think that you already know what it is. But taking your time to do the breath work and really thinking about the prompts that I give you is going to help you kind of get to the root of it. Because a lot of times we think it's something that's happening here on a surface level, and it's really something that's deeper than that, that's underneath. Why aren't you just doing the thing? Okay. Why aren't you doing the thing? You keep saying you want these things, you want to achieve these things, but you're not doing the things. Why not? So I'm just really here as kind of a conduit for anyone who wants to sit down and do this work. So let's get ready to do our breath work. Okay. All right. And I'm going to ask you three things. We're going to breathe through three different things. So there'll be three different prompts here. Okay. We've got our pen and paper ready. We're going to take a breath, hold, inhale through the nose for 4, hold for 4, and then release, exhale through the mouth. And then you're going to um, take some notes, okay, at the end of each breath. All right. Some of these are big questions, I think, and hard for me to answer even still. And so um, you do whatever you feel. I'm going to give you time after I give you each prompt. If you're just joining, definitely say hi. Feel free to share the episode. But what we're doing, we're about to do some breath work and identify some of the things that will support us in designing a life that we love. This is my second episode in this series. I would encourage you to go back. You can find the last episode either on my YouTube channel or on the Coach Card Facebook page. And there you'll be able to find last week's episode where I kicked this off, talking about designing a life you love. Because listen, you only get this one. There are no do-overs. You can't even get yesterday back. Okay. So every day, every moment matters. And every moment that you spend not doing things you love, you're robbing yourself, essentially. I work really hard on this every day, to maintain a life that I love, to make choices that support loving myself. I take the hard looks in the mirror at what I've allowed and what I'm not allowing, and all of these things, because it really, 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 really matters to me. I am my own priority for the first time in my life, and I want the same thing for you. And so we're going to do some box breathing. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, release for 4, and then I'm going to ask you something, and you're going to write something down that we don't need to discuss. It's just for you. It's just to kind of start bringing some things to the surface. Okay. Once we're done with that, I'm going to talk a little bit on boundaries. Um, boundaries is like my big word these days. So I'm going to talk a little bit about boundaries and hope I can save a life with that. And that's it for today. Okay. So let's settle in and get ready to take a breath. Listen, even if you don't think you want to do all of this, why don't you just join us for some breath work here? It's so good. If you've never done it before, you think it sounds weird, you just need to try it. I promise you that um, you'll never look at it the same. And so, what you're going to do right now is just relax your body, but don't slouch. Don't do this. Uh-oh. Call her back. Don't slouch, okay? Hold your spine erect, up straight, sit up straight. I'm critiquing myself even right now. Almost like there's a string pulling this way. And put your feet flat on the ground, on the floor. Just relax your hands like this. Take a minute to relax. We don't take enough time to just relax. And just notice your breath. You can hear my clock ticking in the background, I'm sure. That's very helpful in terms of keeping track of time. But just relax. Bring your body to stillness. And for just a moment, tune everything out. Nothing else matters but this moment. No one else needs anything from you. I hope you're in a quiet place. It's okay to do this in your car. I know sometimes that's how it is. Just relax. If you don't take the time to relax first, you're going to be rushing when you do the breath. So that's why we're not rushing it right in here. And this gives us time to calm our minds down and be present right here. Let us just be together in this moment. No one needs anything from us. No one is looking for us. If they are looking for us, maybe they can't find us. And you're listening to my voice and you are relaxing more and more throughout your body. Your eyelids are closed. Just let all the tension go, but keep that spine erect. Keep that spine erect. It can slouch before we know it. All right, we are getting ready for our first inhale. We're going to inhale through our nose, hold for 4, and then exhale for 4. And then I'm going to ask you something, okay? While we're doing this, I want you to think about designing a life you love and what that looks like. That's all I want you thinking about. Any other thought that comes into your mind that has nothing to do with that, I want you to imagine yourself taking that thought and pushing it out and then thinking about what makes you smile. What is your lovely life look like? All right. And let's inhale. Hold it and release through the mouth. Your first prompt, visualize what you want. Write down something. Something. It could be a picture. If you're an artist, visualizing what you want. What did you see? What did you see? What do you see when you think about what you want for a life that you love? What does it look like? It's not money. It's not money. It could be some of the things that money brings, but it's not necessarily money. Visualize what you want. Take your time with that. Visualize what you want. If you visualized what you wanted, what does it look like? What does it look like? What does it look like? Okay. And I don't want to talk, I don't want to put my information in anybody else's mind. I already have a life that I love, but what would make it even better is debt free or low debt. You know, if you get debt free, you actually gave yourself a raise. You always want more money, but if we could get rid of debt, we would have more money. That's one thing for me. That's the main one. We're getting ready to go in and do our next breath. We have 2 more prompts, and then we're going to talk about our boundaries. All right, and let's get ready to breathe. Feet flat on the ground. Make sure that spine is erect. We are relaxed. Relax your belly. Your shoulders should be relaxed. Relax your tongue and your mouth. And inhale. And exhale. Relax, relax. What obstacles? What's in the way? What's in the way of the life that you love? And this really is going to tie to the next prompt. But if there are any obstacles, don't be ashamed. This is only for you. So even if it's something that you feel like you wouldn't want to share out loud, we're not in a classroom. No one else is going to see it. But you have to be honest with yourself. What is the obstacle? What is in the way of this life that you love? It could be your location. It could be the type of job that you have isn't conducive to the future that you want for yourself and creating the life that you love. What is in the way? One or two things, obstacles. Okay. One of my obstacles is I want additional funds. I don't want necessarily it to be permanent, just enough to relieve some debt, which is what I tied to my other visualization. Okay. All right. We're going into the third and final prompt. This is the one. This next one is the one. It's the reason why. It's the reason why we're blocked. But let's take a breath. And during this breath, I just want you to relax your mind. Think about those obstacles. Think about what your the life that you love looks like. When you do visualization and you think about the life you love, have fun with it. Like envision all of the things, from what are you wearing to what do you smell to where are you, who's with you, what's around, what's going on, what does it look like when you first wake up in the morning, what is the first thing in the morning that you do. allow yourself the joy of just going with it, in your mind. Okay. And so do all of that while we're thinking, and any thought that has nothing to do with what we're doing right now, because that's what we do. All these other thoughts come in. Any thought that has nothing to do with this, just push it away. You are in control of everything in here. So take that thought and put it to the side so that you can come back right here to this moment and think about what the life you love looks like. Just relax. And we're going in for our third breath. And inhale. Let it out. Okay, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? What's going to blow up? What's at risk? What are you going to lose? What is in your current life that you know either cannot survive in a new life, or you just know that it doesn't fit, right? Even if you want to get a new job, you got to lose your old job. You got to lose your old coworkers. Sometimes you lose bits and pieces of your network. Even when we go back, we can't really go back. And I've gone back to an old job before. I went back to a whole husband. So I know what it means to circle back. I don't think it's always a bad thing. I'm saying it's never going to be the same. So we have to be willing to let that go. And first, we need to identify what those fears are. What are you afraid of losing? Because it really might not be that bad. Or it might be something that makes you kind of pause and work your plan differently, right? I've made some steps in my life that I shouldn't have made because I did not really look at what some of the consequences could be. And so, what are those fears? On the flip side of that, some people are so risk averse, they're paralyzed and they can't move at all. What are you afraid of? When you think about what you're visualizing, okay, for your new life, what you want to in this life that you love, and then you think about some of the things in the way. Well, you could move those obstacles. You're an adult. You waited a long time to be grown. I love that phrase. I came up with it myself years ago. You waited a long time to be grown. And now here we are, adults, acting like we don't have any choices. Like life is just running us and we can't do anything about it when we are in total control. We are actually the only beings that God created that have complete freedom, complete and total freedom, but we don't use it. And that's why we're here tonight. You're free. I want you to know that you are free um, to create whatever life you want for yourself. There's breath in your body, you can do it, but not until you identify what you actually want. What are the obstacles in the way? And what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? And it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of time to get from a place where you identify those fears, conquer those fears, start moving forward, and then you still have to manage those fears because they keep circulating. This happens to me. Even now, I wake up some days and I'm just kind of off, and I'm like, oh, I really kind of blew my life up. And while I'm happier over here, there's consequences and costs that I didn't count on. That's always going to happen, right? What are those fears? I'm going to pause, give you a moment to write down what are those fears. Okay. You know what my fear is? So I told you guys that what I'm visualizing is being debt free, and obstacles that I have are, I want the additional funds, but I don't want it to come like in a full-time job. That's what I used to want. I'll just get a promotion or a different job making more money. No, no, no. My fear is I have to work too hard. I don't want to, I don't believe in that anymore. I think that the things that are for me, that are divinely orchestrated for me, come to me with ease. That's in the Bible, by the way. For those of you who believe that, it says, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. So I shouldn't be doing anything really hard. It doesn't mean I don't have to apply effort, but it shouldn't feel, you know, super hard for me at this stage. That's my calling and instruction. May not be the same for you, right? Although I do think that there should be some ease. some parts of it should be easy. Okay, so we identified our fears and I shared mine. Um, now, let's talk about the final part of tonight's chat. And I think I mentioned counting the cost. So I'm just going to skip to this part about boundaries. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with Mel Robbins. She is an author. She has a great podcast. Some would call her a thought leader. Well, Mel has this new series. Now I feel like she got this from my friend Charles. Right now, I'm saying he's my friend. He was my Facebook friend. I can't remember his last name right now. But Charles said this was right before she released this theory, maybe 2 years ago. Um, he put this post up that just blew my head off. Let people do what they want. That's how you know who they are. Let people be who they are. That's how you know what they really want. I'm going to say that again. Let people do what they want. That's how you know who they really are. Let people be who they are. That's how you know what they really want. Love it. And I wish somebody told me that 20 years ago because I spent so many years trying to control other people, places, and things. Let people do what they want. That's how you know who they really are. What I have found is that in my life, okay, I had no boundaries. I thought I had boundaries, but it turns out I really just had a lot of bark. And in the end, I would cave. I was in this toxic pattern of eventually I was just going to do it. And I would always think, I'm going to do these things and they're going to be happy and they're going to see, how much I'm doing for them. And then I will get my needs met. It wasn't happening. And I just kept trying the same formula of I'm going to do these things and other people are going to recognize what I have done. And then they themselves will, um, you know, do for me and I will get my needs met over and over again. I repeated this exact routine basically and my needs still were never met and I would be so frustrated and it's taken me a while to realize that um, my mistake was expecting that I'm if I give you this and I give you that you're going to give certain things to me and that's not necessarily the case. Why? Because they were never going to do that because it's not who they are. So your effort had nothing to do with whether or not another person, your effort didn't have any effect on whether they were going to do it or not do it because it's not who they are. Let people do what they want. That's how you know who they are. Let people be who they are. That's how you know what they want. And you can't design a life that you love when you are overly focused on trying to control other people or manipulate other people into your program around what you want to do. This has to be about you, your life that you're designing for you. And so that's why the boundaries are important. And I had to pivot from doing things. It's almost like I was creating transactional situations. I had to pivot from that to say, you know what? If it's not from my heart, if I can't do this cheerfully for this person, then I'm not going to do it because I was not getting enough of my needs met. And I learned I have to fill my own cup. It's my responsibility to take care of me. It's my responsibility to design a life that I love. It's not the responsibility of other people to do any of that. And to do that, I had to create boundaries. I had to be less available. I had to be less agreeable to things if it didn't serve me and what I was working on. And it feels really selfish, especially when it comes to loved ones that are close to you. But the boundaries is so critical. You you can't get anywhere without it because even when people love you, I've learned they will still bleed you dry. They will. They will use up your time, resources, finances. Not everybody, but I'm saying it can definitely happen. And until you get boundaries, you can't design anything because you'll start building it, and then somebody else will come along with a different plan, and now you're off over here. You've got to have clear boundaries, and God bless them. I have some friends in my life who have very strong boundaries just naturally, and they can't relate to any of my trauma. They just can't relate because they don't have issues telling people no. Oh, I don't like that. I don't prefer that. And I looked at them and would say, oh, she's so picky. She's so persnickety, difficult. I don't want to be difficult. So instead, I was easy, y'all. And now, guess what? A chick would rather be difficult than to be easy, hands down. And so that's really all I have for you tonight. I wish I could have made it a little fancier, but honestly, my goal is to be consistent. I believe that this will it'll improve over time, and I'll end up kind of being and doing whatever I'm supposed to be and do. But for now, my goal is to just be on here every single week. And so if you found some content here, something that I said useful, I would love to hear it in the comments, or you can send me a message, and we'll see kind of how things go from there. I would encourage you to do that breath work that we did and do the assignment because it's for you. I'm speaking it. I don't know how it lands, but I know from teachers that I've had that if you write those things down and you do that breath work and you clear your mind and you think those thoughts, it will help you get a vision. And the word says, which I definitely still believe in the word. Now I'm going to do an upcoming series on my spirituality, but the word says that without a vision, people perish. So write the vision, make it plain. They will run and not faint. You have to write things down. You got to write it down. It channels a different part of your brain to force you to think through what you want. What are the obstacles? What fears do you have? You know, that will support you in counting the cost. That will help you identify why you're struggling to do the work for whatever it is you said you wanted, but yet you are not doing it. Okay. And then with all of that, you will need to establish boundaries, which may require some hard conversations with folks. Establishing boundaries. I will tell you that if you struggle with that like me, initially you're going to feel very mean. Um, but I've gotten really good at it now. Because I like it. And what I once I realized, y'all, they were never going to be happy and that it was never going to be enough and that there was not enough reciprocity so that my needs felt met, it got easier. Got easier. But it's definitely an individual journey and something that women in particular really struggle with. We are taught to wake up every day and set ourselves on fire and take care of everyone else and eat the smash sandwich at the bottom of the picnic basket or eat cold food, which I did so much that even now I still eat my food cold because I was so used to running after everyone else that by the time I got my plate it was cold. I mean that could be a sermon right there. You deserve hot food. You deserve a plate of hot food. And something that you worked hard for. You prepared that meal. You deserve to eat a hot plate with everybody else. And if no one else is going to be considerate enough to say, "Hey, honey," or "Hey, mom, sit down. We'll fix your plate today." Take care of yourself. That's all. That's all I really want. That's all I really want to say to you guys. So thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We will be online this Sunday, bringing the show back. We did have. I have been out of town and I had so much going on this Sunday. The weekends are really getting busy, but made the commitment to do the show every weekend, and we are still doing it. So we will be live this Sunday again, probably same time, 11 a.m. I'll be out of town this Sunday too, but I will be online. So looking very much forward to that. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great rest of the night. Hump day. Wish I could put some music on, but I don't know what's allowed. So we'll go out just like this. Thank y'all. Bye.